Hi guys, I'm Paul.
And I'm Willem.
Welcome to a new episode of A Matter of Life in Dev. In this video we're going to talk about Mendix 8.1, the first release after Mendix 8.0.
So we've got some nice delighters. We're very enthusiastic about this release. Let's see what Mendix provided us with this month.
Yeah, let's go.
So we've got nested conditional visibility expressions, but it's a mouthful, but what does it mean?
So previously you had current object available to you to build your expressions to create your custom visibility. And now they improved that and you have multiple layers available to you. You're way more versatile to create your expressions in the page. So no more helper booleans, no more extra objects to keep track of all the visibility things.
That's nice.
So that's pretty cool, actually.
So when you start building large pages, detail pages, new edit screens, and you want to have some conditional visibility, that means if you have the page and data views inside of data views, then those objects will become available to you as variables for your expression.
Yeah, as objects. Yeah.
As objects.
Yeah.
So that's nice.
So cleaner domain models.
Yep.
Easier understandable flows because there's no setting true or false booleans in microflows anymore to determine your visibility.
Exactly. So that makes your application more robust.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So pretty good change in my opinion.
Yeah.
Attributes over association are now editable. So you can't drag them in yet, because if you drag them in, it'll turn into a reference selector.
Yeah.
So when you create an empty text box, you can select an associated attribute and it's still editable.
All right, that's cool. And it works through multiple levels?
Yeah, it does, actually.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure how deep, but we tried at least 2 deep and it still worked. It was still editable, and
yep.
So that as well saves us some nested data views, which is always good.
Always nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Saves those enormous forms. They become more readable. And remember when we have, you've all probably seen it, where you have a data view and you want to show certain information from one object, and you also have to put one text box from another object in near that information. Well, that's now easily done. Yeah. So we created a test project, and we created an old situation where we had all the data views, and we created a new situation where we added the editable text boxes like we just explained. And we checked the network tab in our inspector, and we basically didn't see any difference. So that was one of the things we were worried about with this new approach, that it would have some performance issues. Like
multiple calls to the backend to fetch all the required data.
Exactly. And it seems to be working okay. The calls looked exactly the same. So as far as we can tell, so it looked good.
Yeah, and it might change depending on how big your application is, of course. But
of course,
in our little test project, we didn't notice any performance issues.
Mendix Assist can now assign conditional values from splits.
Yeah,
that's cool. That's one of the things that was annoying me when working with Assist, that we still had to do the right click to set the true or false boolean. It's now one of the options in the left click. That's nice. Yeah.
So last release, pretty big Mendix Assist release, of course, Mendix 8.0, and already improvements on the Assist engine. So nice.
Keep it up.
Yep. The next thing is actually from the ID forum. Edwin ran into the issue that when sending files to Azure with a SOAP request, Azure expected a certain header which Mendix didn't support, the expect 100 header, expect 100 continue header, and Mendix didn't support it. He supplied a ticket to Mendix support, and they added support for that header. Big delighter up.
Yep.
Copy pasting in your project explorer. Party time. Yeah.
Yep. Finally.
Yeah.
It's one of the things that annoyed me most, I think.
Yeah, it's like it's It's a small change with a big impact. Yeah.
As long as I can remember working with Mendix, we kind of got used to doing the right
manual
click.
labor.
So it's nice to see that this is finally possible.
Yeah.
We also we were discussing this with a few colleagues of ours, and they were they were asking us, would it also be able to copy from one
modeler instance
to the other one?
Yeah.
I don't think that will happen.
That would be like a great change for Microflows as well, right?
Yeah.
Being able to copy certain elements from one modeler instance to another.
Yep.
Just saying.
Yeah.
Any one of you Mendix gurus watching?
So in the Mendix 8 video, we talked about nanoflows a lot.
Yeah.
The fact that we can now create sub-nanoflows, but the way we created them could be improved a little bit.
Yeah. So as we're used with microflows, when we have a certain, piece of logic, you could run into the fact that you want to reuse it, and so you select these objects and you right-click, extract sub-microflow. That wasn't possible yet with nanoflows.
Okay.
And now it is.
Yep.
So that's another
very cool.
Yeah, another small change with a big impact, I would say.
Especially because now we see a lot more React Native apps being built. We see nanoflows becoming more valuable in projects. We see way more ways where we can implement them, and this will only further help that.
Yeah, agreed. So stepping out of the Studio Pro environment for a bit, Mendix released a new CLI tool, command line interface tool, which you can use to convert your project, basically.
Okay.
And I have to be honest with you, I'm not sure why I would want to use it.
Yeah, me too.
But they did. If any of you have a use case for it, I'd be
let us know.
Delighted to hear it.
Yeah. So the documentation is that we can convert apps. If you download the CLI for a specific version, you can convert any project to that version.
Yep. Let us know if you run into anything worthwhile. Now there are some fixes. First of all, when you build a pluggable widget, you had to supply the property needs entity context.
Okay.
Which was left over from the older widget structure. And even though you had to supply it, it didn't actually do anything. So it was a bit weird, and they fixed it, obviously. So now you can safely remove or skip the needs entity context.
So apparently Mendix Assist kept sending some requests to the backend.
Yeah.
Even though Mendix Assist was turned off.
Kind of
like like Google or
they are listening.
They're listening. Yeah. Please don't.
It shouldn't send requests when
it's
disabled, and now it doesn't anymore. Another thing Mendix Assist did was when in recovery mode, for example, when you lost connection to the internet, and Mendix Assist obviously needs that connection.
Yeah.
When it got back up, it sent too many requests to the backend to recover itself, basically. And that's also been fixed.
Okay. If you've worked with Mendix 8, you've obviously seen this one. When you retrieve an object from the database, it's not a new object. It's just a regular object.
Yep.
I don't know how many tickets are sent because of this, but it's fixed.
Yeah, so no longer a new prefix on your retrieved object. And some of you might have installed Adopt OpenGDK manually before installing Studio Pro, which didn't always work because Studio Pro would want to install the dependency and it would conflict. And they fixed it as well. So if you have already installed Adopt OpenGDK, you can now safely install Studio Pro 8.1.
So in Mendix 8, we got enhanced error messages. It was implemented just a tiny bit. Some of the error codes that were shown pointed to the wrong URL. Those have been fixed now.
Yep. So either they link to the the wrong error or the error was just mistyped.
There are some things that we didn't mention from the release notes. I think there were a few more delighters. I feel like 8.1 is all about making Mendix 8 better.
Yeah.
That's what it feels like to me.
Agreed.
Like we said last week, Mendix 8 was a great step. It offered a lot of it was a good setup for a bigger and better Mendix. I think they're on their way to doing so.
8.1 continues that trajectory.
Yeah, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. It has some nice improvements. For example, the copy paste.
Copy paste.
The extract sub nanoflows. Like we said before, using nanoflows is getting more and more important. Which each project you make, basically.
Yep.
And this is one of those improvements that can speed up and maintain your project.
Very true. So the thing I'm most excited about, I think, is the fact that we can now do the visibility expressions and stuff.
Definitely.
And have access to associated data.
Yeah.
That's a big improvement, and I think for a lot of new developers, this is going to be a great. It's going to be so much easier to create applications.
Yeah. So the next generation of Mendix developers would find it mind-blowing that we didn't have this.
Exactly. That's what it feels like. These fixes, they're long demanded. I think long
finally
hoped for.
Here. Yeah.
Finally here. So 8.1.
Thumbs up.
Very good release. Yep.